What's going on, conquistadors? It is Scotty the Chunky Spaniard. Welcome back to Round Like Me. And another late release. Sorry, I apologize. But sometimes life throws these curveballs at you that you can't prepare for. And today is one of those days. It's going to be a Tunes on a Tuesday, but it's going to be a different one than I had planned. And I'm sure you already know what I'm talking about. But before I even get into the tunes for a Tuesday, I feel like now that I'm on this platform and I have people that come to this channel, and maybe you're coming to this channel for entertainment, or maybe you're just coming to hear a guy talk. I don't know why you keep coming back. I'm thankful that you keep coming back, but I don't know what the what the sole purpose is of you returning every single time, but I appreciate you. But wanted to address what happened in Las Vegas real quick, and I'm not articulate when it comes to these tragedies, and I feel like we give too much press to those that have caused the huge offense towards humankind. But they have set up donations. I know there's so much going on with hurricanes and earthquakes, and our world is in turmoil, and it's been happening all over, and now something else that's even tragic but man-made has happened, and I don't know how to process it. It's a scary world that we live in, and it makes you not want to go outside, but we can't stop living, and we can't stop trying to enjoy things because of certain individuals that act out. But that's why it's very important for us to try and do as much good as we can while we're here. You never know when that time is going to be up, and you never know when tragedy is going to strike. You just never. Life is crazy, and you just don't ever know what's on the horizon. But we can make a difference while we're still here. Took a few times to get that one out. But that's why I always say try and be a better person tomorrow than you were today. Try and make that sphere of influence that you have a positive place, because that's what we need to spread. We don't need the negativity to spread. We need to support each other. We need to love each other. We need to care for each other, regardless of differences. And this is, after everything that's been going on, I feel like we need to band together even more as people. And so that's where I'll leave that. It's sad. People are going to live with this for the rest of their lives. And so we need to be there for those people and for those that are affected, because it's not something that's going to go away in a week or in a month. This is a long-lasting thing. So, transitioning now to something else that was super sad, especially for me. Today's Tunes on a Tuesday is dedicated to Mr. Tom Petty, and I'm not going to put any of the tags, like Tom or Petty or song titles or anything like that, because I'm not doing this for views. This tribute to Tom Petty, this is one of those things that is straight from me to you, the people that loyally watch, and the influence that he had and his music had on my life. Tom Petty was a rock and roller through and through. The guy just did not play by anyone's rules. This is going to be more story time than anything else. But I did not discover Tom Petty for the longest time. And I kind of regret it, but I'm glad I found him when I did, and I'm glad I did find him. So if you haven't checked out Tom Petty's stuff, you need to, because unbelievable songwriter. And then looking back at Tom Petty's life, hearing, how much he loved Elvis, and the main thing that really got him going was watching the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, which the Beatles are one of my favorite bands of all time. That's what I was raised on, the Beatles and Creedence and Johnny Cash, and stuff like that. But Tom Petty wasn't really on my radar until I got into high school and had moved to Oregon. And I remember my junior year sitting down with my buddy, Mike, and I was like, you need to teach me some guitar, because I wasn't getting any attention playing saxophone, piano, or drums. So you need to teach me something on guitar, because all my friends who play guitar are getting all the attention and all the ladies, and I'm not a fan of this. So he sat me down, and I remember he had this huge room upstairs at his house, and he had a classical guitar. So the strings on a classical, the nylon strings, I don't know if you've ever played a nylon string, but they're kind of like they slide and slip and kind of twist and bend. And so that was weird to begin with. The neck on a classical is a little wider too, so that was tough. But he showed me a D chord right off the bat. So I have my guitar, and it's capoed at the 3rd fret because of one of the songs that I learned. So he showed me a D chord, and he was like, okay, if you can play this, you can play Free Fallin'. And little did I know, Free Fallin' had come out in 1989 on the album Full Moon Fever, which was the album that I was introduced to. It's the one we had on cassette in the truck that we drove around, and then eventually got on CD, and we wore that thing out. But he taught me the D chord, and you could go from there to the intro to Free Fallin' with 2 chords, a variation of the D, and then going to an A, sustained. So from the D chord, you could just go, and then to the A. And I thought I was the coolest guy ever. I think every guitar player probably thought that when they were learning their first songs. But, oh my gosh, I was like, what? I can play Free Fallin'? Little did I know that those are the only chords in the song. Oh my gosh, the entire song is the same chords. Who does that? Tom Petty does, because he's a rock star and he was amazing. Plus, he mentions Reseda, which, as you notice on my shirt, it says Reseda, California right there, which is also where in the movie, Ralph Macchio moves to Reseda in Karate Kid. So it was like this meshing of worlds for me. Plus, I saw Tony Hawk post this great thing last night about the song Free Fallin'. It has a vert ramp in it, well, a half pipe, and it has skateboarding in it. When skateboarding wasn't the most popular mainstream thing out there, and Tom Petty, being the rock star that he was, is like, hey, I'm gonna throw some skateboarding in. Again, who does that? So Tom Petty comes out in 1989 with Full Moon Fever, and it's got Free Fallin', I Won't Back Down, and Running Down a Dream. Running Down a Dream and I Won't Back Down are probably my 2 favorite Tom Petty songs. That riff at the beginning of Running Down a Dream, the whole, oh my gosh, I'm gonna butcher it. Oh my gosh, so freaking good, and it would sound so much better on electric guitar, and if I had actually practiced. But again, unplanned, so these old hands are trying to figure this stuff out again. But he comes out with this album in 1989. Here's what was on the charts in 1989. Here's the list I found of albums that came out in 1989. Tom Petty comes out with these tracks, and here's who's on the charts. Bleach by Nirvana, The Cure, 9 Inch Nails, De La Soul, oh, great album. Aerosmith comes out with Pump, Lenny Kravitz, Phil Collins, Madonna's Like a Prayer came out, Faith No More, The Real Thing, Operation Ivy, Dr. Feelgood by Motley Crue, and one of my kind of secret favorite albums, Rhythm Nation by Janet Jackson. All came out in 1989, and Tom Petty comes out with this old school sounding like rock. He even throws in Del Shannon's name in Running Down a Dream, the guy who wrote the song Runaway a long, long time ago, if we're talking real oldies. He's talking about him and Del were singing, Tom Petty wrote songs that you would drive in your car and listen to on the weekends when you were cruising or racing hot rods and things like that. And this was the 80s. And I didn't find him until 93, the end of 93, 94. And then in 1994, to my pleasant surprise, he came out with Wildflowers. And again, there's the Blockbuster discount sticker. But Wildflowers went back to another rocker. It had this song called You Wreck Me on it. And it was just another drive-in rock and roll song. A rock and roll song. And then like the biggest hit off of Wildflowers was You Don't Know How It Feels. But Tom Petty was the epitome of a rock legend. He didn't care. He worked and collaborated with everybody. He was in the Traveling Wilburys. Okay, if you don't know who was in the Traveling Wilburys, you need to look it up, because some names like Roy Orbison, Jeff Lynne, Bob Dylan, George Harrison. I mean, royalty, rock royalty. These songwriting legends all in one band together, and they're collaborating. I mean, Tom Petty, oh my gosh. Wildflowers is such a good album. You need to go get it if you haven't gotten it. Everybody probably has Tom Petty's greatest hits. I'm gonna put my guitar down for a second. And I couldn't find my greatest hits album because I transferred everything to my phone, but wanted to show you guys, this is what we used to carry our CDs in when we would drive. This is a giant binder of CDs. And they're not they used to be in order, but I've got like the Aquabats, Green Day, my old band Flipside, Five Iron Frenzy, their first album, MXPX, Dave Matthews Band, Van Halen, Megadeth, Toad the Wet Sprocket. Yeah, really, really diverse stuff. But where I used to have Tom Petty's greatest hits was right back here in the very back next to these guys. Oh, it just broke. The Beatles. I had no idea that the Beatles were Tom Petty's like influence to start actually playing music. And I used to have his greatest hits right next to the Beatles in the back of my CD case. But what a sad, sad loss for the music world. A songwriting legend, a rock star through and through, someone who didn't play by the rules and didn't care and would come out with folky stuff, would come out with rock and roll stuff in a time when hip-hop was gaining some traction, in a time when hard rock and alternative was starting to move in. I mean, Wildflowers came out in 94. Think about who was huge in 94, guys. Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Nirvana. I mean, think about all of those bands. That was the height of like grunge. And Tom Petty comes out with Wildflowers and a song like You Wreck Me, which is a kind of a throwback to Running Down a Dream, with the kind of just straight ahead, four on the floor rock, just do-da, 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 do-da. If you haven't checked out Tom Petty's music, go check him out. I'm going to miss the man. I mean, I learned how to play Free Fallin' on guitar, and from that, from Free Fallin', now the capo's off, but from Free Fallin' on that D, my buddy Mike was like, okay, now you got the D down. You got Free Fallin'. Go to a different fingering and you can play Plush by Stone Temple Pilots. And I was like, what? Stone Temple Pilots? Okay, so I walked out of that room hanging out with Mike, learning Tom Petty and Stone Temple Pilots, and felt like I was the greatest guitarist in the world. But realizing that Tom Petty wrote one of the most popular songs ever, Free Fallin', you know everyone's gonna sing that at the top of their lungs. 'Cause I'm free! Everybody's gonna go, that was a little flat. Everybody's gonna go for it on that part. Free Fallin'. Oh, John Mayer covered it and did it brilliantly. I'm not even gonna attempt. I tried to learn it last night. Couldn't do it because I'm not John Mayer. But A songwriter that influenced the world, in my opinion, a guy who did not play by the rules and did his own thing, and who was a true rock star through and through and didn't care what trends were, played what music he loved, and kind of flew in the face of what was popular. That was Tom Petty, and that's a rock star. And we're missing so many of those, and now we have lost one. And I've tried not to cry because he was such an instrumental part of my high school, the end of high school, and college years, that you lose people like this and some other people we've lost this past year that have been such huge influences in musically in my life, and it's such transformational times of your life that it hurts your heart. It really, really hurts your heart. And this one stings. This one really, really hurts. So if you haven't checked out Mr. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, you need to go get his greatest hits, because they're all amazing. I mean, American Girl is probably going to be like one of everybody's favorites. You hear those chords at the beginning ringing out and you know what it is. But Wildflowers is a great album. And, you know, so thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tom Petty. Thank you for your influence in my life and musically for what you did for me and for getting me into playing more guitar. Man, it changed me. It really, really changed me. And that's what music is supposed to do. So remember, conquistadors, be a better person tomorrow than you were today. Go out and be a positive force in this world. Comfort someone who's hurting. Give someone a hug. Shoot someone a message you haven't talked to in a long time that might be going through some stuff. And if you are going through stuff, reach out to someone. I'll see you next time on Round Like Me. Take care. Bye.